Welcome back, everybody. Today we're diving into something I think we all experience and enjoy, and that is humor.
That's right. We're going to be exploring what makes things funny and why we even laugh in the first place.
Yeah, you ever think about that? Like why a good joke just makes you erupt? Well, we're going to try to unpack that today, and we've got two fascinating sources to help us do that.
Yeah.
We've got a collection of jokes featuring Mulla Nasrudin.
He's this wise fool figure from Sufi tradition, kind of like the original dad joke aficionado,
Yeah,
but with a philosophical twist.
exactly. And to help us kind of make sense of all this, we've got some insights from the philosopher Osho on the nature and purpose of laughter.
Yeah, Osho has some pretty interesting ideas about why humans are the only creatures who seem to need a good chuckle.
Yeah, that's true. Have you ever seen a dog, like, cracking up at a stand-up routine?
Right.
I haven't.
Never.
Me neither.
Nope.
So what makes us so different? Well, Osho thinks it all boils down to one word: boredom.
He argues that the more intelligent and civilized we become, the more prone we are to boredom.
So basically, our big brains are making us laugh-deprived.
In a way, yes. Think about it. A squirrel spends its day gathering nuts, chasing other squirrels. Maybe occasionally outsmarting a bird feeder.
Right.
Not a lot of time for existential angst, right?
Yeah, I don't think squirrels are losing sleep over the meaning of life.
Right, but we humans, with all our complex thoughts and emotions, we've got bills, we've got deadlines, we've got social media meltdowns, and then, of course, there's that whole, what's the point of it all question looming in the background.
Yeah, it's enough to make anyone reach for the nearest stand-up comedy special. But Osho takes this a step further. He suggests that this existential angst is more common in intelligent people.
And he uses this thought-provoking example to illustrate his point. He says the Jews have the most jokes because they're the most bored
Oh.
and also the most intelligent.
Now, I know that might sound a bit controversial, but it's important to understand the context.
Absolutely. Osho isn't trying to stereotype anyone here. He's simply using this example to highlight how the very things that make us human, our intelligence, our ability to reflect on ourselves and the world around us, can also make us vulnerable to a certain kind of cosmic boredom.
So it's like our intelligence is a double-edged sword. It gives us the capacity to ponder life's big questions, but it also makes us prone to feeling a bit lost and adrift.
Exactly. And Osho believes that laughter is the antidote, the pressure valve for all that existential angst.
Okay, so laughter helps us cope with the big, scary questions. But what about the actual mechanics of a joke? What makes something funny in the first place? Well, let's take a look at one of these Mulla Nasrudin jokes to see if we can unpack it.
Sounds good. Which one did you have in mind?
How about number 2? This is a classic Nasrudin scenario.
All right, let's hear it.
During a religious meeting, an attractive young widow leaned too far over the balcony and fell, but her dress caught on a chandelier and held her suspended in midair. The preacher, of course, immediately noticed the woman's predicament and called out to his congregation, "The first person who looks up there is in danger of being punished with blindness." Mulla Nasrudin, who was in the congregation, whispered to the man next to him, "I think I will risk one eye."
Classic Nasrudin indeed. That's a great example of how a joke works. Osho describes jokes as having two dimensions.
Okay.
First, you have the logical setup. A widow falls. A preacher warns against you as the listener are anticipating a logical outcome, but then, boom, the punchline hits.
And it's totally unexpected. Nasrudin's willingness to risk an eye for a peek is so absurd it completely throws you off.
Right.
That's what makes it funny.
Exactly. Jokes create this little mental roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
They build up tension with a logical setup, then release it through the unexpected punchline.
It's like our brains are saying, wait, what? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then we just surrender to the absurdity and we burst out laughing.
And that release, that sudden shift from tension to surprise is what triggers laughter.
It's almost like a little mental explosion.
You could say that. And speaking of explosions, let's talk about the different types of laughter. Osho identifies 3, each with its own unique flavor.
Ooh, a laughter menu. I'm intrigued. What's the first course?
Well, the first type is the most basic kind of laughter, laughing at others.
Oh, yeah. I know that one. It's like when you see someone trip and fall and you can't help but chuckle even though you know you probably shouldn't.
Exactly. It's often driven by a sense of superiority, like we're somehow better off than the person who's the target of our amusement.
It's not the most compassionate kind of humor, is it?
Not really. It's like we're getting a little ego boost at someone else's expense.
Yeah, and we see this in some of the Mulla Nasrudin jokes too, right? Like that one where he asks the psychiatrist to split his personality because he's lonely.
That's a perfect example on the surface. It's a funny little anecdote, but there's an undercurrent of laughing at Nasrudin's loneliness, his desperation for connection.
Yeah, it's funny, but it also makes you feel a bit sorry for the guy.
Exactly. It's a good illustration of that lowest form of laughter humor that punches down.
Okay, so laughing at others is out. What's the next level up on this laughter ladder?
The second type of laughter is much more evolved and much more satisfying. It's the kind of laughter that comes from being able to laugh at ourselves.
Ah, self-deprecating humor. Now, that's something I can get behind. It takes the sting out of life's little mishaps, doesn't it?
Absolutely. When we can laugh at our own imperfections, we're not taking ourselves too seriously. It's
Yeah.
a sign of humility and self-awareness.
And it's a lot more fun than constantly beating ourselves up for every little mistake.
Exactly. It's like saying, hey, I messed up, but I'm not going to let it ruin my day. I can laugh at myself and move on.
Speaking of messing up, Mulla Nasrudin is a master of this kind of humor, isn't he? He's always getting himself into these ridiculous situations, but he never seems to lose his sense of humor.
He's the king of self-deprecating humor. And his jokes often highlight our own human foibles, the things we all do but would rather not admit to.
Like that one where he keeps riding the merry-go-round to collect a debt.
Oh, that's a classic. Remind me how it goes.
A man who took his little girls to the amusement park noticed that Mulla Nasrudin kept riding the merry-go-round all afternoon. Once when the merry-go-round stopped, the mullah rushed off, took a drink of water, and headed back again. As he passed near the girls, their father said to him, "Mullah, you certainly do like to ride on the merry-go-round, don't you?" "No, I don't. Rather, I hate it absolutely and am feeling very sick because of it," said Nasrudin. "But the fellow who owns this thing owes me 80, and taking it out in trade is the only way I will ever collect from him."
Poor Nasrudin's stuck on that merry-go-round, getting sicker by the minute, all to collect a debt. It's hilarious. And it's so relatable. We've all been in situations where we've had to swallow our pride and do things we'd rather not.
It's like a metaphor for life, isn't it? Sometimes you just have to grin and bear it even when you're feeling a bit nauseous.
Exactly. And Nasrudin's ability to laugh at himself in those situations is what makes him so endearing. It's like he's saying, hey, life is absurd, but we might as well find the humor in it.
And it's not just about personal foibles, right? Nasrudin also uses humor to poke fun at social conventions, authority figures, even the very idea of debt and repayment.
He's a master of using humor to challenge the things we usually take seriously.
It's like he's saying, hey, let's not take ourselves too seriously. Let's step back and see the humor in all of this.
And that's a powerful message, especially in a world that often feels very serious and stressful.
Okay, so we've covered laughing at others and laughing at ourselves. What's the final frontier of laughter?
The third and highest form of laughter, according to Osho, is what he calls cosmic laughter.
Cosmic laughter. Now that sounds intriguing. What's so cosmic about it?
Think of it as the kind of laughter that arises from a deep understanding of the universe and our place in it.
Like laughing at the sheer absurdity of it all.
Exactly. It's the laughter of those who see the bigger picture, the interconnectedness of everything, the endless cycle of birth and death, the beauty and the chaos of existence.
It sounds almost spiritual, like a kind of enlightenment through humor.
It is, in a way. It's the laughter that comes from letting go of our ego, our need to control, our fear of the unknown.
It's like surrendering to the cosmic joke.
You could say that, and it's a laughter that's both profound and liberating.
So how do we tap into this cosmic laughter? Do we need to meditate on a mountaintop for years?
It's not necessarily about reaching some kind of enlightened state. It's more about cultivating a sense of wonder and awe, of recognizing the humor in the everyday.
Like finding the funny side of a traffic jam.
Exactly. Or laughing at your own clumsiness, or marveling at the absurdity of a news headline. It's about choosing to see the humor in the mundane, the unexpected, the seemingly pointless.
So it's about shifting our perspective, looking for the funny side of life, even when things aren't going our way.
Precisely. And that's a skill we can all develop with a little practice.
I like the sound of that laughter as a spiritual practice. Who knew?
It's a powerful tool for transformation, both personally and collectively.
So how do we go from chuckling at a silly joke to experiencing this cosmic laughter? Is there a secret formula?
Well, there's no magic formula, but there are definitely things we can do to cultivate that sense of cosmic laughter.
Like what? Spill the cosmic secrets.
Well, one way is to simply pay attention to those moments of humor in everyday life. Notice the things that make you smile, even if it's just a silly thought or a funny observation.
Like the fact that squirrels probably have no idea what taxes are.
Exactly. Or the way your dog tilts its head when you say walkies. It's about finding those little sparks of joy and amusement in the ordinary.
Yeah, and maybe even those moments that would normally make us frustrated, like a traffic jam.
Yes. Instead of getting annoyed, see if you can find the humor in the situation. Maybe there's a hilarious bumper sticker on the car in front of you, or you can imagine all the crazy things people might be doing in their cars to pass the time.
Oh, that's a fun game. I'm going to try that next time I'm stuck in traffic.
Yeah, and another key is to practice letting go of your ego. The more attached we are to our own self-importance, the harder it is to see the humor in things, especially when they don't go our way.
So it's about being less serious and more playful.
Exactly. Embrace your inner child. Remember how easily you used to laugh when you were a kid? Try to recapture that sense of wonder and silliness.
You know what? I think Mulla Nasrudin is a great role model for this. He's always getting things wrong, making mistakes, but he never seems to take it personally.
He's the ultimate wise fool. He shows us that it's okay to not have all the answers, to stumble and fumble our way through life. In fact, that's where the real humor lies.
So maybe the key to cosmic laughter is to embrace our own foolishness, to laugh at our own imperfections, and to see the bigger picture.
That's a beautiful way to put it, and the more we can laugh at ourselves, the easier it becomes to laugh at the absurdities of the world around us.
Yeah, because when you think about it, life is pretty absurd, isn't it?
It really is. We're all just these tiny beings on a giant spinning rock hurtling through space, trying to make sense of it all. If that's not funny, I don't know what is.
And yet we get so caught up in our own little dramas, our own self-created anxieties, we forget to step back and appreciate the cosmic joke.
But laughter can help us remember. It can snap us out of our narrow perspectives and remind us that we're all in this together, sharing this wild and unpredictable ride.
So in a way, laughter is a kind of spiritual practice. It connects us to something bigger than ourselves, to a sense of wonder and awe.
It's a reminder that life is too short to take ourselves too seriously.
That's right.
Let's laugh at our mistakes, celebrate our quirks, and embrace the absurdity of it all.
I love it. So dear listeners, as you go about your day, remember to keep your cosmic goggles on. Look for the humor in the everyday laugh at yourself. And don't forget to share your favorite jokes with us.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we'll even inspire a few cosmic chuckles along the way.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep laughing.